Yo, it's your boy Don Guy Joey, Lost Puppy Guy, and we are looking at the movie Putin 2025. It tells the tale of the rise to absolute power of Vladimir Putin. It's played by a CGI or a computer-generated face of Vladimir Putin, of actually Vladimir Putin, going through this entire movie. This movie is quite a bizarre movie. It starts off with a very sickly Vladimir Putin. Actually, it starts off in 2026 with a very sickly Vladimir Putin being instructed by his chief of staff or his lieutenant general, as to what is going on in the state of Russia. It's 2026 in this, and what is going on is absolute radiation, absolute poverty. People are dying in the streets. There's war, there's famines, there's radiation, there's huge poverty. Everything is basically decaying, and Vladimir Putin, it starts off with that. It goes back in time to 1960 with a young Vladimir Putin being essentially abandoned by his mother on the train, who is left to fight for himself and fend for himself. The movie sequences parts of fragments of his mind, which are played by these young children who he meets when he is an orphan, and he has to essentially fight for himself. It's horrible, horrifying conditions which he has to survive in order for him to become the brutal, leader of Russia that he is. Boris Yeltsin is, all the leaders across, including Boris Yeltsin, they're all drunkards and making decisions based off alcohol. And Vladimir Putin is a very stoic, forthcoming, forthright, tactical, very cogent, very disciplined. He doesn't engage in party, in ceremonies or anything like that. In fact, when he is appointed as the new Russian president, there's no party whatsoever, and he's asked, you know what, he wins the majority of the seat by 50, I think it's 57%, and he says that he's not happy about it. One of his followers turned around to him and said, what would you get to be happy about it? He says, everything. This is a very dark story about a politician. This is going back to many, many years, going back to the Crimea War, going back to the radiational homicide of the USSR war, going back to 2014, the invasion of Ukraine, going back to the Chernobyl disaster. It goes back essentially 60 years. There's many horrifying incidences in this movie, such as terrorism. There's children, school children, who are killed and murdered. And essentially it shows a brutal dictatorship which is riddled by corruption, absolute power, greed, tyranny, and drunkards. And Vladimir Putin, the CGI Vladimir Putin, is played very well, very brutal, very harsh in what he wants to achieve, which is absolute power. And also as well, I think similar to the movie Better Man, where there's these demons that are there which are haunting Robbie Williams, this is the opposite. There are demons of these little children that are there that nobody can see, but that is the one that haunts Vladimir Putin, and it haunts him throughout his tenure of him being, prime minister to being the head of the Khazar. It's a very, very deep and very brutally told story. And like I said, similar to Better Man, when you see the hauntings of the people in the crowd that haunt Robbie Williams, it's similar to this movie when you see the children who essentially walk around and they make absolute decisions which he follows to the absolute T. It's quite a disturbing movie, but it's a very good watch. There were times in it which got a bit boring, and there's times where there's a bit too much dialogue. But once that dialogue gets out of the way and a bit of the action and the absolute brutality starts to happen, things start to go down. Yeah, this is an okay movie. It's Putin. The movie is called Putin 2025. Enjoy the movie.